Hello everyone. So today we will see the fundamentals of generative AI and to become a generative AI specialist, what we are supposed to learn, right? So we will discuss in detail how someone can become a generative AI specialist, right? So in that sense, we'll discuss all the details. Welcome to the session. So first we will discuss what technologies we must be learning and what are the core skills that we should be learning to become a generative AI specialist. So without any delay, let's start our session, right? So first and foremost, we should be learning Python, right? So if you want to stay in the AI world, this is compulsory, right? So Python is the de facto language for AI, development. That could be generative AI or any other kind of technology. Python is very must, right? So you don't need to be an expert in Python, but you should be knowing the basics of Python and how you should be able to debug a program. And there are some core libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, scikit-learn. All these are the core AI libraries. So you should be able to write programs on them, and we should be able to do data engineering and data manipulation using these libraries, and you should able to build the systems, right? Generative AI systems using this one. So definitely you need to learn some of the Python libraries and Python packages along with the regular Python programming knowledge. So that's what the basic requirement. Then you should also know the machine learning and deep learning fundamentals, because generative AI comes after the deep learning, right? So at top level we have AI, then in AI we have machine learning, and machine learning we have deep learning, and in deep learning comes the generative AI. But you don't need to master everything, but you should know at least like what is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and how neural networks works, and what is back propagation, regularization, generalization. So all these basics you must know, right? You must at least know how the data flow happens among these technologies, right? And then these are the core topics, are the core things you should be master to become a generative AI architect or a generative AI specialist or an engineer for that matter. So transformers is one of the core concept, because most of the generative AI technology works on transformers. So that part, like there we have tokenization, embeddings means the numerical representation of your data, right? And fine tuning, context windows, all that things you should be mastering. So that is another topic. So once you are good with them, then comes the prompt engineering. So prompt is nothing but whatever the input we give to an AI system, that is prompt, right? So how to give the structured prompting, and how do we uh, call an external tool, all that you should be good at. Then only you should say as you are a generative AI specialist. Next comes one of the most important topic, that is RAG, retrieval augmentation and generation. So this is the one of the important topics. So how the query works, how do you save your data chunks, that embeddings in the vector DB, how do we retrieve, and how do you give to an LLM, and how that LLM will give the final answer. So that all happens as part of the I'm sorry, as part of the RAG system. So you should be able to, understand how a RAG system works, and different types of vector databases like Pinecone, VV8, and FAISS5. So these are some of the, vector databases you should master and understand how data is getting saved and retrieved. Next comes the fine tuning. So fine tuning is like it's not only just prompting. So we need RAG to provide the the solution for our question. So lot of fine tuning you should understand, and adaptation optimization. So you should train your model continuously, right? You should again and again train your model to make sure that it will give the proper answer or the proper result to a given prompt. So that kind of fine tuning you should do. So we need to understand uh, quantization, distillation, caching, and these are some of the terms we should use there. So you should be able to be perfect in those technologies or that terms, to get into more to get more into generative AI. Then comes the generative AI application development. So knowing how your model works is important, but we also need to build real world applications. So this is where Gen AI application development comes in, right? So most AI applications interact with models through APIs or SDKs, but developers need to understand how to send requests to models and process their responses. So we also need to build agents. Okay, so an AI agent can use tools, make decisions, and for multiple steps to complete a task. For example, an AI might search for information, call an API, analyze the result, and then generate a final answer. So frameworks such as LangChain, Llama Index, LangGraph, CrewAI, and AutoGen can help developers build these systems. Then we also need to backend. We also need to understand backend technology such as Fast API, REST APIs. So that's what we learn as part of the Gen AI application development. Then comes the operations part. We call them as LLM ops. So here we actually try to deploy our models or these applications on an infrastructure. So we can build them using the containerization technologies like Docker, and we use the CI/CD process. We have bunch of CI/CD tools like Jenkins, TeamCity, and lot of AI CI/CD tools are there. So we should use them and deploy them on the production grade environments that could be AWS, the cloud like AWS, GCP, or Azure, or a private cloud, right? So that is where the operations part comes in. Then this is the latest development. Instead of using a single text to text or a single model, nowadays people using like text to image generation, image to text generation, vision language and image to text models, speech synthesis and voice recognition, video generation, so and multimodal kind of development. All these things came into picture, so we should able to learn them and we should able to master them. So not only just developing and working on these applications, but we should also see the security part, um, to make sure that the AI system that we are building is not breaking the organization policies that if you are applying. It should be very well secured when we have some sensitive data like passwords, or the tokens of the applications. So that's what for this video, friends. So we need to understand the above topics to say that we are a good Gen AI an application developer. So in summary, we start with the Python and ML models, right? We'll learn the Python, its packages, and we will learn some of the machine learning fundamentals. Then we will understand the deep technologies like LLMs, large language models, RAG, retrieval augmentation and generation, and some of the AI agents. And then you should build and deploy these real world applications on this target environment. And also we should make sure that these models or the applications are safe, secure, and we are not breaching or we are breaking any rules. So that's what the stuff required to learn or to become a AI specialist in uh, 2026. Thanks everyone.